And hello everyone, welcome back to another C++ tutorial. So today we will be working on adding logic to our programs, or in this case if statements. For example, when should you let someone into a bar? If they're 7, no. Only if they are 18. You get my point here. If they are 18, allow them into the bar. I love using these bar examples when it comes to if statements because this kind of works. So let's actually set up a little user here. So I'm going to go std string name, and this we can just say is Jack. Now, if you haven't followed along, this is a variable. I do recommend you go watch my variables tutorial if you have not. It's going to be very important, especially for this tutorial. And I'm not going to cover everything a variable is again, but it is a container, so just keep something inside of it, basically referencing this right here. Anyhow, and then it's a string, so it's a piece of text. Then we have an int, and we're going to call this age, and we can say they are 18. Cool. Remember your semicolons, and also int is for numbers, in case you may have forgotten. Cool. So, what really is an if statement? Well, an if statement is something you can use to add logic to your code. For example, we can say, if the user is 18, then do something. If the user's name is this, then do something. For example, let's create a little bar program here, which I do like. Let's say here, if age is equal to 18, and take note, here are two equal symbols. This one here means assign, so it's going to make something. For example, this age is going to become this 18. When there are two next to each other, it's asking, is this that? So this assigns and this asks. So two equal signs asks, one assigns. So if they are 18, then, and the syntax is important, it should be if with these brackets and these brackets, although you can just use without brackets if you're just doing one thing. I'll give you an example, but I'd never recommend you really do this. And we can say cout, you may enter. Cool. And now here, if I save this and I run, so g++ main.c++ -o output, and run that output, then you'll see the program doesn't really change from what it would have initially done. It says you may enter. I'm going to also show you that you can use it without this, but it is recommended that you do use this because it just increases readability. And if you don't want to use these brackets, you can just go to Python or Nim or Lua. Then you don't have to use these brackets. Anyhow, so I would recommend using these brackets at all times. Okay, now let's say we want to check, or let's actually change this. Let's change this to 17 now. So now age is no longer 18. And because this is an if statement, what it's going to do is it's going to skip that part. As you can see there, it compiled and rounded without anything. We can even go here and say cout, thank you for visiting. So we can see when it skips, because that will be at the end of the program. And because age is not equal to 18, it's going to skip what is ever inside of this if statement. So it's just going to say, thank you for visiting. So yeah. Now what if we wanted to check if they're 18 or older? Because sometimes you don't want just people of the age 18 into your bar or into your whatever location. You want people of 18 and older, or 18 and up. Then you can say a bigger than symbol, that one right there, and an equal sign next to it. That means is it bigger or equal to 18, which means I can say 21 here, and this will work perfectly fine. If I were to run this, it will say you may enter. There we go. Same with if I were to say 17 here, now it's no longer going to let me enter because 17 is not bigger than or equal to 18, as you can see right there. Of course, you can flip this and make it less than or equal to 18. So now 17 will be allowed because we're saying, is age less than 18 or is it equal to 18? And it's saying it's less than 18, so they may enter. So yeah, take note, because we're saying it's equal to, I made it a bigger sign again, just take note of that. Because we're saying bigger than or equal to here, if we were to make 18 here, it will still accept it because they are 18. So you may enter. That means from 18, 19, 20 to 100, they may enter. Or actually even past 100, this is just an example. But as soon as we remove that equal symbol, now it asks, is age higher than 18? Is age more than 18? Is age bigger than 18? It doesn't say, is age bigger than or equal to anymore. It's just bigger than, meaning our code will no longer run as we want to, because now it looks for ages higher than 18. If we were to change this to 17, so this excludes 17 now, it will allow it because the age is 18 and that is 17. And you see there, thank you for visiting, and you may enter. But as soon as we change this back or down to 17, since age is now no longer larger than 17, it's not going to accept it. As you can see there, it skipped it. And of course you can flip this to make it smaller than. So if age is less than 17, so if we go here and we make it 16, take note, this is less than and not less than or equal to. It's just less than. Now if we were to run this, then as you can see, you may enter because there's 16. But if we were to make this 26, then it will not run that. As you can see. Now, what if you wanted to exclude a specific age? For example, what if you wanted to say, as long as they are not equal to, so this is not equal to, if it has an exclamation mark and then an equal symbol next to it, it's not equal to. So we can say, as long as they are not equal to 17, they may enter. So we go like this. So this is the same as saying equal to, but this is just the opposite. So it will accept everything but. Unlike with equal, that will just accept that. For example, if we said this here, it will only accept 17 and nothing else. If we said this here, it will accept anything else but 17. As you can see, you may enter from 26. If we were to make this 17 here, then you'll see it doesn't say you may enter because it's not equal to 17. As you can see there, not equal. So yeah, those are the most basic operators. We're going to go into a bit more complex thing here. So let's say we want to compare two things here. So let's say as long as they are bigger, older than, or equal to the age of 18, and so this is two ampersand symbols, and they are, let's say, and their name is not equal to Jack. Whoa. Like that. Then it says, okay, as long as they're older or equal to 18 and their name isn't Jack, execute this below. And take note, you can have as many things inside of an if statement as you want. You're not limited, really. So yeah, if we run this, then thank you for visiting, because neither of these two are allowed. So if we were to make this 19, age would be allowed. So if we were to run this, then we'll get thank you for visiting, because name is still not accepted. This and symbol here means this should be true and this should be true. Both of them should return true. They should basically be, yeah, it's not. So if I were to make this Jack with an exclamation mark, these two are no longer the same, because name here is Jack with an exclamation mark, while Jack here is just Jack. So let's run this. As you can see, you may enter a bunch of times. So yeah, now take note, this whole thing works on true and false. So if I were to say true here, this if statement will execute, because if true, then execute. So you see, you may enter. If I were to make this false, so no, because true is yes and false is no, then we'll get thank you for visiting. If I were to say not, or let's say I were to say true is not equal to false. This will work because true isn't false. If I were to run this, then it will work, as you can see there. And of course you can put it inside of a variable as well. So I can say, let's say bool and birthday. So let's say if it's their birthday and we say true, right? So we say it's their birthday. So then we can say if birthday, so it's saying if true, because birthday is true, then execute what's inside of it, as you can see there. But if we were to say birthday is equal to true, this would mean the same thing as what we just said, because that with an extra equal sign there, because we just said if birthday, right? That's all we said, just if birthday. But if we say birthday equal true, it's the same thing, because when something is true, that's when this runs. So if we just pass in a boolean in here, it will accept it. So if we do that, then it will accept it. As you can see here, it did. If we were to make this false, however, this if statement won't run, because an if statement only runs on true, and this isn't true. A nice thing that you can do here is, because this is a boolean, a true or false value, you can say not in front of it. This means if not the value in here. So if not false, what is something if it's not false? It's true. So we're going to get you may enter, because not false is true, as you can see there. But if we were to make this true, true, then because there's a not symbol in here, we are going to not get this. Because if something is not true, it is false because it's not true. What we can also do here is we can check if birthday is equal to false. This is a valid checking. We're checking if this here is false, because this will return true or false depending on what this is. Birthday in this case is true, so it's going to return false on the end of the day, and it's not going to execute this. But if we were to say birthday is equal to false, like that, now if we were to run this, it will accept it, as you can see there, because birthday is false now, because we're checking it. So yeah, now we can continue. So let's say if it is their birthday, right? Or if their age is older than 17. Take note, I'm saying older and not older than or equal to. So if they're 18 or older, then they will be allowed in. But not if they're 17 or younger. And this here means or. That means or. That's this or that. Take note, it's two pipe symbols. It's this symbol right there. That's a pipe. So yeah, for in case you didn't know, that's a pipe. You can find it usually right next to the backspace if you press shift on that backward slash, if you're on a US QWERTY keyboard. Anyhow, now if we were to run this, what do you think will the output be? You may enter. Because age here is 19 and age is more than 17. And this means or, which means if it's their birthday or if their age is older than 17. We're asking or. Unlike with and, not both of these has to be true. Only one has to be true of these. Meaning if I were to make this true, it would still work perfectly fine because at least one of them are true. As you can see right now, yes. And now if I were to make age equal to 1, they will still be allowed to enter because it's their birthday. As you can see there. But as soon as I make this false as well, let's actually say not true. This is valid. This means it's not true because that's a not symbol. So now it's going to say it's not true. It's going to be false and it will not work. The same here, if I were to just make this false, then if we go here and run it, it will not work because neither birthday is true or age is older than 17. So they're not allowed to enter. Cool. So that's all of the basic comparison operators here. So yeah, just for in case you, yeah, that's all there is. Now, we're going to continue with the if statement. It's a pretty big topic, so yeah, but we're getting closer to the end. Now, let's say we want to display something if this if statement failed, because currently, if this if statement fails or passes, it's going to say, thank you for visiting. But what if they couldn't enter? What if we wanted to tell them, you may not enter? The problem is, if we do it here, and let's just copy this, and we go here and say, you may not enter. And we make their age equal to 18, which is more than 17 here. Then it's going to say, you may enter, but then you may not enter. We don't want that. If they may enter, they should just be allowed to enter. We shouldn't say this to them. What we can do then is we can say else. And else basically means, else if this if statement didn't execute, if this didn't execute here, then execute else. Meaning we can move that there. Now if we were to run this again, we will not get you may not enter. We'll only get you may enter, as you can see there. But if we were to make this 1 again, then we will not see you may enter. We will see you may not enter. And that's the nice thing about else. It allows you to give a different statement. If this statement didn't execute, then execute this statement. And yet again, you can have as many things in here as you want. So let's say you only want people in your bar if their age is older than 17. And if their age is not older than 17, meaning like 18 or up, then you want to only allow them into the bar if it's their birthday. For example, let's say here, if age is more or equal to, whoa, I can't type, to 18, right? Then it says you may enter. And here we can say for 30 minutes. Now I'm going to just add a bracket there, and I'm going to say else if. I'm going to add some brackets here, and instead of this else if, I'm going to say if their birthday. Then what we want to do is we want to say cout you may enter for, and in this case we're going to say 10 men. So they may enter for 10 minutes if it's their birthday. And I can actually remove that. And that's pretty neat. So if their age is older or equal to 18, then they may enter for 30 minutes and it will skip this. If it's their birthday, however, and they are not older or equal to 18, then this will execute and these two will skip. However, if both of these did not execute, then else will execute. For example, let's run this. Currently we'll get you may not enter because none of these are true. If I were to make this 18, however, and we were to compile and run this, then we get you may enter for 30 minutes. If we were to make this birthday true, sorry about that, I had to go in for a call. I was about out for like 20 minutes or so, where were we? Like, I couldn't remember where we were, so I'm going to assume we were here. Now, you may enter for 30 minutes, that's there. Okay, so this didn't execute because this right here, this executed, meaning this won't execute. It goes from the top. If the first one executes, then the rest will be skipped. If the second one executes, then the rest will be skipped. If the third one can execute, because you can have as many here as you want, you can have as many if-else statements as you want, just not in such a terrible way that I did it, but there. You can have as many as you want. It's possible to have a ton of them. Cool. But if we were to make the age 17, because then it's not bigger than or equal to 18, so this will be skipped. This is going to check that the birthday is true, and then we're going to get you may enter for 10 minutes, as you can see there. So you can check if something is this. If it's not this, then check if it's this. If it's not either of these two, or 3 or 4 or 15, however many you want here, then execute this. Okay, now that we have that underway, we are very close to the end, so do not worry too much. Do not fret. Okay, so I'm going to remove this part right here because this is going to be as an example. Now what we can do as well is we can check inside of this if statement, if birthday. And here we can check, or here we can then say cout happy birthday. So now we have an if statement within an if statement, basically saying, also you can do this, you can either have them like next to each other like this, or you can have the brackets like this. It's optional, it's up to you. I do prefer my brackets like this because it just, to me, it makes more sense, but a lot of people do this. Anyhow, so now what's going to happen is if this if statement executes, then it's going to check if it can execute this if statement. So it's just like a normal if statement, but in a different if statement. So if I go here, make that 19, it will execute both. It will say happy birthday, as you can see there. Now what we can do is, if I were to make the birthday here to not true, remember that makes not, so not equal to, it's going to be false now. So as you can see, it says you may enter for 30 minutes, but it doesn't say happy birthday because birthday is not true. Cool. Now let's actually mix and match a bit here. We can here now go and say if birthday and name is equal to Jack, and take note, you can do this is equal to true, and you can also put these inside of brackets because you just can. So like that. That is allowed. You can also have more here, for example, or as an example, but this can also be an and if you wanted to. So, or let's say age is equal to 25, for example. And then what we can do is we can wrap these inside of brackets and say, execute this. If this returns true, or if this returns true, then execute this. But anyways, yeah, let's keep that there just as an example. And now here we can say, happy birthday, Jack. Let's say Jack is a very important customer. He goes to the bar every day, which you should not do, but he goes to the bar every day. So then you say that. And just ignore this or here because it doesn't really fit with the story. But anyways, now let's say if this is not the case, then we can say else if birthday. So then just if it's their birthday, because let's say this returns false because it's their birthday, but their name isn't Jack, so this will return false. Then this whole thing may return false. Anyhow, if this wasn't here, if we were to remove that, I'm gonna remove. No, let's keep it because I want to do an example of it. Anyhow, then we can do this, and we can say happy birthday, but not to Jack, just happy birthday. Else we can just skip it and say cout it's not, or actually to show you don't need it else. Else is optional, same with else if, they are optional. So this is perfectly fine as well. If we were to execute this, then we'll get you may enter for 30 minutes. But because birthday is false, it didn't execute this. But what we can also do is we can say age is equal to 25. This will make this execute. As you can see there, happy birthday, Jack. Even though birthday is not true and the name isn't Jack, because we have an or statement here. And take note, this is inside of brackets for a reason now, because this should compare first. So it's going to check if birthday is equal to true, and then it's going to check if name is equal to Jack. If both of these return true, then this whole thing will be true. If one of these two return false, then this whole thing will be false. And then it's going to throw this or in here. Or and, if you wanted and in here as well. So yeah, that is that. I'm going to remove that because it doesn't fit with the story. And then we can also remove a pair of brackets here. Cool, and these brackets are also optional. I just put them in here to make it a bit simpler because I find it easier to read if there's brackets, but you can do that. That's perfectly fine. Anyhow, so now we can check if it's their birthday and their name is Jack. So if we go here and make their name Jack, then, or actually let's keep their name, Jack with an exclamation mark, and make their birthday true, right? And if we can compile this, then we'll get happy birthday, because it is their birthday, but their name isn't Jack, so this will not execute. If we were to make their name Jack by removing that exclamation mark, then we'll get happy birthday Jack. As you can see there, happy birthday Jack. So yeah, that's the basics of this if statement. You can have if statements within if statements. You can have if else. You can have else. You can have a ton of comparison operators here. So, you know, equal to, which is two equal symbols, bigger than or equal to, less than or equal to, bigger than, less than, not equal to, and there may be one more, but I might be forgetting it. But I think that's all. So yeah. Now there's one more thing I want to show you. Then we are finally done and you can continue with your life, because this is a very long tutorial. What I'm going to talk to you about now is called Ternary Operators. Damn, that's a difficult thing to say. So this basically is like a one-liner if statement. It's amazing. So if I were to show you something like this, let's say value here. And I'm just going to print the value here. I'm not going to use an if statement. It's not really necessary. So value. Then what we can do here, take note it's still a Boolean here because I'm just going to compare a few things. And let's say here int cool age is equal to 25 as well. Now if we were to go age equal cool age, then this will return true, right? So it's just a normal if statement, but we store inside of a Boolean value. So it returns 1, which is the same as true, because true is 1. If we were to say not equal here, then we'll get a negative value, if I'm not mistaken. No, we'll get 0. 0 means false, and any other value than 0 means true. For example, if I were to go here, I were to say if, and I were to say 0, or didn't say anything, but okay. Then I can just say cout anything here. If I were to say 0 here with this if statement, it will not execute this because 0 means false. But any other value, if we were to say negative 999 here, for example, it will execute because it's a truthy value. Anything other than 0 is true. So yeah, that is why we got a number here. But yeah, this is just a normal if statement or a normal Boolean value stored inside of this. So it's the same as if you were to put a value in here, for example, age is equal to cool age. For example, if we were to make this equal to there, these two are exactly the same. But in this case, we can just throw value in here because they're exactly the same. Anyhow, that's not what we're discussing, but it's just cool to note. So let's say here, for example, we have a little string here. Now let's say, let's call this value as well. Let's say if they are the cool age, if their age is the cool age, then this should contain they are the cool age. Now one way you can go about this is we can say if age is equal to cool age, right? Then we can say value is equal to they are the cool age, else value is equal to they are not the cool age. This will work perfectly fine. So if we were to do this and execute it, then they are the cool age. But if we were to make their age 21 instead of 25, then it will say they are not the cool age, as you can see there. Now, what have I told you? We can condense this into one line, into one simple single line, by doing this. If age is equal to cool age, then, so this question mark means then, and we can just paste this in there, and that should be 1 equal, not 2 equals. So if their age is equal to cool age, then they are the cool age. And you just copy this. Else, so else, that's a colon. We can say that. So I'm going to just delete that. So we're saying if their age is the cool age, then they are the cool age. Then this value will become this. That's what's being said here. Then this. Otherwise, they are not the cool age. If we save this, then we'll get they are not the cool age. But if we were to make age here equal to 25, then it will say they are the cool age. And of course, you can break this into multiple lines, for example that, and then we can split this into the next line, and then we can split this into the next line, and that's perfectly fine because C++ works with semicolons, so you can split things into multiple lines like this. So yeah, that's the basics of it. You can of course also use this as you don't have to necessarily store something in here. For example, if we said this age is equal to cool age, and then we did this cout, and that should have std in front of it, and then we were to go here to the end and just say std and val, then this will work perfectly fine as well, because we're not storing it inside of anything. We're just saying if this, then this. Take note, this is just an if and else statement, this. So if this executes, then that. So if this executes, then this. Otherwise, go for the next one. So yeah, that is the ternary operator. Of course, there's a lot more you can do with it, but I think this video is probably long enough because there's already 30 minutes. Holy crap. Jeebers, that's a very long video. Thank you for watching, and thank you for staying tuned until the end of the video. If you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all again, and hopefully not such a long but next tutorial.